In this video, I will refer to some of the terminology that you need to be aware of to be able to write essay number 2, which is a research paper about a Wahi Pana. Some basic terminology include Hele, which refers to region, division, section, or zone, followed by Hihohiona, which are the features of the natural landscape. And we'll talk more about those a little bit later. And then Aina, which just in general refers to the land. You will be asked to identify the mokupuni, or the island of the Wahi Pana that you're going to write about. And as you can see in this picture, this is Hawaii Island, or the mokupuni of Hawaii. You will also be asked to identify the moku, or the district of the Wahi Pana. And then you can see in red the 6 districts outlined for Hawaii Island. You will also need to identify the Ahupua'a, which is a smaller land division that runs from Maka to Makai, or upland to sea level. And you can see there are a lot of Ahupua'a. And then some other terms, you don't have to identify these, but just so you're aware of them, are Ili, which is a smaller land division, and then Aina, which can also refer to smaller parcels of land that were worked by Kanaka, or people. You can see all these different red lines indicating these different types of land divisions. And then Wahi, just in the most general sense, refers to a place or a location. So you will need to identify the different features of the Wahi Pana that you're writing about. Some of the different features you may encounter are mauna, kuahiwi, or kualono. And the difference between these two, mauna is talking about an actual mountain, whereas kuahiwi is talking about the ridges and the summits on the mountain. And then pu'u, which is a hill. We often see cinder cones that are pu'u here on this mokupuni. And I skipped over some important information. The uppermost region of the mountain, or the mauna, is deemed the most sacred, and that's where the akua dwell. So that's an important consideration to keep in mind when we're talking about mauna. And then with our kuahiwi, below these regions, this is where we begin to find valleys and waterways and the different strata of the Aina. And then with our pu'u, they're really cool. They act like sponges for the land by collecting water and releasing them to the surrounding environment. So almost every pu'u that you come across will have water, growth, and vegetation. And then of course, we have our luapele, so a volcano crater or a pit. And this is the most active land feature on our island, as we're all aware. And the word for lava is pele, right? So poly. Poly is a cliff. And so we're looking at steep and almost directly vertical cliffs. You can find them all along the coastlines. And then lai is a cape or a promontory. And Nahele is a forest, a grove, or just wilderness kind of in general. So any low-level place with high ground on each side. And the space between the branches of different rivers, that's our Nahele. And then Avava, these are valleys, gulches, and ravines. And then Vailele, or Kahavai. So our waterfalls, and then our streams, creeks, rivers. And then we have Kai and Moana. So both referring to ocean. I learned that Kai refers to the water closer to the shore where, kind of people will swim and have other activities, whereas moana refers to the deep ocean beyond typically where people engage, like, just for regular activities. And then we have makani, which refers to wind, and ua, which refers to rain. And you will be asked in the essay to identify either a makani or an ua. There are hundreds of them that are very specific to place. And finally, we get to the term Wahi Pana, which refers to storied places throughout the Hawaiian island chain. And I think it's important to think about these places as places that have a heartbeat or a pulse. That's where the word pana comes into play. So places that are so important, they're actually living. They have a pulse. They have a vibration. So in Hawaii, pana, or the heartbeats of our storied places, are heard or portrayed through mo'olelo stories and ka'au stories as well. Mele Hawaii, so songs, familial practices and traditions, and prominent land features. These are all part of recognizing a Wahi Pana. And then a little more information about mo'olelo and ka'au. You will need to identify a specific mo'olelo or, going back up here, some of these other aspects related to the Wahi Pana. So you could also identify a song related to the Wahi Pana, an oli, a hula, doesn't have to be a story. And then you will also need to identify traditional practices associated with the Wahi Pana. We already talked about prominent land features. And then the rest of this presentation goes over very specific boundaries for the different moku or districts on Hawaii Island. I have a link to just this presentation, so you can go through, take your time and look at it, and get a better feel for some of the information that I skipped over. If you have any questions about Wahi Pana, please let me know. Mahalo.